This video is brought to you by Tire Streets and by emindustries.com, where you can get merchandise and support the channel. I'm back. This time we are working on the drift truck. Obviously, the last thing to do to actually 100% finish the drift truck is the exterior. I mean, I guess there's more to it than just that. We're gonna fabricate a custom wide body for the front and the back. I know you guys have been saying that. We gotta finish the bed, actually make a floor that can kind of be removed, all sorts of cool stuff. But before any of that happens, we have to take it drifting first. Because I wanna make sure the suspension is all set up right. I wanna make sure the height's right. All of that kind of stuff is good before building a wide body. I mean, how badly would it suck to build a wide body for this setup here? Oh, we got too much caster, we gotta pull the wheel back. Now the wide body doesn't fit. That wouldn't be good. So, we're gonna take it drifting in this video. Before we do that, we have to fix the suspension. There's two things. The steering rack is bad. I bought a used steering rack from a friend, and I mean, it was used. And it was drifted on. No harm, no foul, but it's got a lot of play in it, and it causes death wobble on the front end when I'm using my rack offset spacers. So that's not good. So we've got a new steering rack. With that, we're going to dial in the front alignment. And then the rear has some height issues. Right now, the coilovers are maxed out, as tall as they can get. There's only a couple of threads in the actual sleeve, and the truck is still kind of too low. So what we're gonna do is we're going to make new push rods that connect the axle to the cantilever system. That will raise the back of the truck so we can lower the coilovers, get the droop set up, and do all that. Once all that's done, we'll put it on an alignment rack, do a full in-depth alignment, and then we will take it drifting. So, without any further ado, let's get this thing on the lift and let's pull this steering rack out. The old rack is out and torn down. Now we got to put the rack offset spacers onto the new rack. So we got both the rack offset spacers in. They're just kind of test fitted. The one thing I did do this time was make sure that when bolted in, they're both perfectly level. And that's important because if they're not level, then the tie rods are at different distances and it causes differences in loads and stuff, and thus death wobble, which is part of the reason that we had issues with this one. So now that this is good, we're gonna clamp these down, bolt it all together, lots of red Loctite. While this is here, I'm gonna go ahead and transfer my AN fittings off my old steering rack. Well, the new rack is in there, everything's tightened up. We still are just on the not aggressive setting for the rack offset spacers. Once we know it works well like this, we will move those and then start getting more angle. It was a huge pain in the ass. Since it's a 3-part shaft system, getting everything lined up, oh God, it sucks, but I did. And it seems relatively smooth. There's a little bit of notchiness on one of the, is it a U-joint? Which I don't like, but this is the best I could get it. The clearance here, man, it's absurd. I don't know how I did that in the first place, but I did, so there we go. Let's drop it to the ground and fill it up with some fluid. Chunky right now, but hopefully once we get that air out of there, it's better. Now before driving the truck and testing this new steering rack, let's go ahead and fix the rear suspension. So pretty much what we're going to be doing is we are making, where's the easiest way? This piece longer. So it's just a tube with two ends welded into it. So we just have to make that a little bit longer. That will raise the height of the truck, and then we can lower these coilovers. Because if you see, the helper springs are pretty much not doing anything. And we want those for droop because this thing will three-wheel without that. And we don't want it to be three-wheeling on the track. So really what we have to do is just remove everything. So I got everything out. I got these push rods out, got the coilovers out down there. I also took the wheels off. I found out that the axle wasn't quite centered because I centered the axle on the bed. This side of the bed is in farther, and it kind of makes sense. You see all this stuff? This side was definitely dented and probably not repaired perfectly. Don't really notice it on a stock truck when your wheel's all the way down here, but when your fitment is like touching and this side is 1/4 of an inch in more than that side, then there's some weird differences. So we're gonna fix that and then try to just pull this side of the bed out a bit. We will fully fix that when we do the wide body and cut this thing up. But I would like for my axle to be centered when I do an alignment and all that kind of stuff, you know? Now we have to take this apart and figure out what size heim joints these are, because I don't remember, and I need to order new tube ends. So to be honest, I can't figure out what size these threads are because I know they're standard and I don't have anything to check standard. So I'm just gonna cut and extend these. It's not ideal, but these really only experience load up and down, so like it really won't matter. It'll be plenty strong. Okay, I actually can't cut these straight in here because when you put it in there, because of the nut on the one side, it's crooked. So angle grinder it is. So these push rods turned out freaking awesome. I noticed the coloring on them after welding them was really sick because they got super hot. It's like a rainbow, but like bronze thing. So I used some Cosmic Clear Eastwood powder coat on them instead of white. It doesn't really match, but it looks sick. Sparkly and rainbow. I think it's kind of cool. It's cool to be able to do that at least. So now these are ready to go back in and ready to reassemble the rear suspension. But first I want to add some grease fittings to the actual cantilever pivot. So pretty much the idea is we just kind of drill and tap a very small hole to add one of these very small grease fittings, and then we can add some grease into this pivot. Hopefully just kind of keep it all a little bit nicer. I'm noticing these already have a tiny bit of play in them after like 500 street miles. So, you know, a little bit of grease should help. And if they don't, then we'll have to rebuild this. Okay, so before I throw these in there, I'm gonna go ahead and set the height. Make sure they are the same length. We both put them on 2 bolts. Actually, I mean, I think that's pretty much perfect. All right, now we're gonna throw these in. So with the pivots in, with the push rods in, we're gonna go ahead and adjust the coilovers and put those in. So the first thing we're gonna do is adjust these helper springs, fully extend them so that the truck has as much droop as possible. Okay. So that's about right. Let's measure the length here. So there's a little bit of preload on the spring, so we don't have to worry about it falling off or anything like that. Okay, now we're just going to lower them, because if you notice, you can't even see the threads of the coilover through the sleeve, which is not good. It's definitely too high. Going for 13 inches here. Oh wow, look at that, that's perfect. Okay, loosely adjusted. We're gonna throw these in. Let's see, make sure they look about right, yeah. Once we get them in the position that we like, then we'll actually adjust the height of the push rods. So these will pretty much stay like this. Coilover go in. Looks like we're gonna have to lower the axle a bit, not too surprising. So you see the new push rods there and kind of see the cantilever and the coil over there. I'm gonna go ahead and center the axle now under the frame. Now, in order to do that, I'm gonna have to take these spacers off because otherwise this wheel won't fit since this bed side is farther in. So a little unfortunate there, but it's for a test, right? So it already looks whack anyway. The front's so much wider than the rear. Might as well make it more like that, right? This is what I got to break loose here. I'm gonna, nice, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to loosen this. We'll say 1, 3. That might be too much. We shall see. I don't know if you notice, tire axle moved over that way. All right, we're jacked up the ride height here. We got 5 7/8 over there, 5 5/8 over there. So we need to move it over still a little bit. Put the bolt back in. Exactly 5 3/4. This is almost exactly 5 3/4. Nice. Centered. Yeah, it looks a bit funky, but it's not that big of a deal. Now this is at ride height on the back, more or less. So we are gonna go ahead and shorten the push rods by, probably about an inch or 2. And then we can torque everything down and take it for a test drive. See, now the truck is at about the right height, and it's at about the middle of the adjustment. I can go up or down probably about 2 inches, and it doesn't squeak, it just rattles because of the bed or the tailgate. Now we're gonna do a few more things with the front suspension before test driving the truck. Number 1 are the steering rack bushings. I got aluminum steering rack bushings, but the problem is that they're kind of jank. They're 2 pieces, but they can go in lots of different orientations, and the height of the steering rack's all messed up. The right side's higher than the left side. I've tried to align it and get it right. It's not good. And I think even fully tightened down, there's a little bit of play in it. So that might be it. So I ordered some new polyurethane steering rack bushings, which will grip it a little bit better, and they're actually like molded, and I think those are just gonna work better. I think the actual cause of it is too much caster. I have this thing maxed out in caster. I don't know what it is. It's probably in the 10s of degrees of caster, and I think that's too much. So we're gonna start messing around the alignment a little bit. Gonna pull some caster out of it by extending this right here. And then I'm also gonna pull some camber out of it. And then hopefully that'll be good. And if it is good, then we can start moving the steering rack out. Oh, that? Oh yeah, that's available on emindustries.com. But this is what we're focusing on. We're going to just go ahead and extend the heim joint a bit to push the control arm back towards the cab a bit more, increase caster. Don't really know how much we're gonna do it, but something like, I don't know, 6 turns. Trying to get it close so it doesn't tether wobble, and then we can align it properly. All right, watch closely because you're about to see this caster change. So in order to get the bolts in, I have to push this back right out there. So yeah, that's what changed the caster. The other way you can change caster is on the top hat. Bring the top hat forward a bit, and that will increase caster and also camber a little bit too. Now instead of tightening this all back together real quick, I'm just gonna tighten this jam nut and take this back off, and we're going to decrease the camber a bit by shortening this arm. The reason why we're gonna remove some camber is because I want this thing to, yes, be a drift truck, but I also do want it to be nice to drive on a back road and that kind of stuff. With this much camber, it's not as good at those things. Will removing camber make it a little worse at drifting? Yeah, but you don't need 8 degrees of camber to drift. Like, that's not how that works. I forgot this kit is atrociously designed, and they didn't do opposing thread heim joints. So you can't lengthen and shorten this without actually removing it. So dumb. Okay, so I got the knuckle off of that. So now I can tighten this. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 4. All right, and last but not least here, we are going to move the inner tie rod location to the proper forward mount. At the very least, we're gonna have to put the truck on the ground and adjust the tie rod so we don't have any crazy toe, because right now I can tell we do, and then we can go from there. Let's go. Steering rack actually looks level now. 1 7/8, 1 7/8. It used to be like a quarter of an inch off on each side. So very nice. What do you guys think? You think, let's see. That toe looks about right. Oh yeah, perfect. Okay, nice, let's drive it. I do like the amount of camber it's got now. It's a little bit less aggressive, but still looks drift car. You got the toe daddies.
And the CAD file for these toe plates is available on emindustries.com for free. If you got a plasma cutter, you can cut it out yourself, or you can send it to something like Send Cut Send for pretty cheap.
3/8 of toe in. We don't want that. We want a little bit of toe out, if anything. So, and the nice thing about the truck is I can adjust it while it's on the ground by reaching through the fender. That's pretty sick. That's about what I want. Tighten the tie rods. I also adjusted the bump stops. This is how much angle we got now. That's pretty insane. So we'll lock one way. So we'll lock the other way. Doesn't hit nothing. Nice and smooth. No traction there. No way, bro. It feels so much better with the steering fixed and like this alignment with a little bit less camber. It really actually feels like it could go on a back road and have fun. It's weird because it almost feels close. Like it's like, ooh, like it almost feels like it's about to do something, but then it doesn't. So now that we know that at least it seems that the death wobble has been fixed, and we've got the new steering rack bushings and all the suspension's ready to go. It's time to take it to Top Dog Tire and throw an alignment on it. This thing's never been on an alignment rack since we did all the fabrication and stuff. So it's a little nerve-wracking. What if it's unalignable? What if I just totally screwed it up and it's cooked? Oh God.
When we first put the truck on the alignment rack, we discovered that the front caster and the front toe were way off. The caster was still too high at 7 degrees, and spec is somewhere between 5.5 and 6 degrees. So that was the first thing we fixed. The front camber was pretty much perfect at -4 degrees, so the next thing we fixed was the toe, shooting for about 1/2 degree of toe out. And with that, the drift truck was perfectly aligned. Huge thank you to Top Dog Tire in Athens, Georgia for letting me use their alignment rack. If you need any wheels, tires, or suspension stuff done, check them out.
It's perfect. It drives perfect. It got aligned perfect. It took me 40 minutes to align it on that Top Dog alignment rack. And yes, it turns out we did have too much caster still, even after removing the caster. So that was definitely part of the problem, but the other part was definitely the unbalanced wheels and the crooked steering rack. Also, unfortunately, the truck was a little lower than I thought, and on my way backing out, I totally bent the exhaust. That was my fault, not Top Dog's fault. So I chopped it off and just put turn downs on it. I wanted to redo the side pipes anyway, the fake side pipes.
Now before taking the drift truck to the drift event, there are a few more things to button up, starting with the fuel cell.
Ever since we put this fuel cell in there, it's just had the bolt-on plate. So every time we want to fill up fuel, we gotta unbolt the plate, lean into the bed, and fill it up through that. Well, it turns out Radium makes a universal remote funnel fill tube thing for fuel cells. And the thing that's awesome is that I didn't even ask for this. They saw my Instagram story where I had forgotten the tool to remove the plate and almost got stranded and ran out of gas, and then they sent it to me. Look at this. That's a proper hose. This is everything that comes in that kit. The piece that actually goes on your car somewhere where you fill it up, piece that goes into the fuel cell. It's got a one-way valve, pretty sick. And then some stuff to make a breather line as well. And of course, lots of gaskets. Oh, and things I just dropped. The first unfortunate thing is that the adapter for the fuel cell is not the same, just because it's a D-Works fuel cell and a Radium fuel filler. So different brands here. But I think they're both aluminum, so I can just grind this paint off and pretty much weld that to that. Powder coating didn't turn out perfect. The powder coating is definitely better on flat surfaces, not super terrible surfaces like this, but I mean, it's black and it'll stay together. I managed to get the one-way valve back in there too, so I'd say this works. So I'm a bit worried with the height of the fuel cell and the location where I put the fill. It almost looks like the tube slopes up towards the fuel cell. So let's bring it to the gas station and test to see if it actually works. See here, stick it in. Gonna do a little bit. No, that's not working. Yeah, that's a no. That's a definite no. Damn it. All right. The idea here is, I mean, you guys can see how tall that is. Instead of having this with all this unnecessary stuff, which is nice to have for it to be able to adjust and everything, pretty much we can cut this, and have it like that much lower. So that extra, 2 inches lower should hopefully make it so the fuel flows into it, because there's only one way to find out. Use all this work on this thing for nothing. I'm regretting not making it as aggressive as I possibly could. It is definitely better, and I think it does slope down enough, but it's still not, I mean, it's still pretty much flat, so we'll see. I think at the pump, it'll be fine, but maybe if we're using just like a tank where you're pouring it in via gravity, I don't know about that. Oh, bro. The fuck? What is that leaking from? Well, after tightening that hose clamp more, it did successfully fill. We'll see if it works tomorrow with a gas can. But now I'm gonna go ahead and finish this vent, because obviously, yeah. So the fuel tank stuff is all done. That's nice. I think it'll work nicely. I also added a magnet here, so this will actually stay shut. And then I just went ahead and made a differential breather with some Vibrant Performance AN lines and stuff. Very cool, very nice. So I think mechanically the truck is pretty much ready to go.
The last thing I did was just generic event prep. I marked all of the suspension bolts with a marker so I could visually see if something got loose. I checked the transmission fluid, replaced the fuel filter, I checked the brake fluid, the intercooler coolant fluid, the oil, changed the oil filter, fill it up with coolant. Oh, drained the catch can. That thing was pretty full, so I'm glad I checked that. And that was pretty much it.
This is the most prepared I've ever been for a drift event, so that gets me excited. We got all of our wheels, tires, and other accessories over here. We'll load them up in the morning and go drifting. 27 minutes to Chick-fil-A. It's like 30 degrees out.
It's not that, I'm not that cool.
Oh, wait, here, let me turn on my heater. Oh, wow, yeah, that's really gonna do a whole lot. Never thought I'd be cruising on the highway in the drift truck. So this is a hot lap drift, meaning instead of just doing one run, you can do a couple laps and then go out, so that's cool. First one, we're just gonna kind of drive around, figure it out, and then we'll start doing a drift. Dude, that guy just did a 360. Holy. The sickest fucking 360. That was insane. No, damn it.
I'll hold it.
Yeah, you wanna hold it? Okay. So let's see, you drift here. Wah, 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 wah. I see, and then you come in to infield here. And then you do an S to what, this way? Yeah. And then I see, okay. Then you come around here. Cool. And then you come around here. Very nice. And then you do a little S. And then you come around here. Okay. Very nice. Oh yeah, feeling good, feeling good. All right. Who's ready for some drifting, eh? Oh shit. a little crazy. It's been a while. Damn, oh God. Oh God. It does bind up at full lock a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. All right, we're about to do another run. We got the computer doing a day log because I think my tuning was a bit off. yeah, go and do the stop and then the save. I went ahead and changed the tune a little bit. Hopefully it's good. It wasn't terrible, but there was like one cell that was off, so I found that one cell. Definitely binds up a little bit, but that's all right. That was awesome. Okay, so yeah, the tune's definitely better. It was in the 12s, but every once in a while I saw a 13. So I think I might fatten it up just a little bit more. Better fat than lean, for sure. But I mean, everything else, besides the binding, but once I get used to that, I can I can know to start trying to turn it. Because like it will come out, I just have to force it. And so when I'm like expecting it to self-steer and it doesn't, then is when I spin out. Got a little wild there. Yeah, I feel like I have to really drive this thing right now. Like it's fighting me, but it's ripping.
For sure.
Definitely ripping. It's a workout driving it though.
You look like you are having to really work it too.
Yeah, it definitely is like kind of unfortunate to be honest.
Kind of a weird layout though, I feel like.
It is. I don't love the layout, but
yeah. Like I'm like sore after just a couple of runs. I'm like, yeah.
All right, Audrey going for a run. Second time ever riding in the drift truck. First time in like 4 or 5 years probably. I did not quite do that. I tried my best, but no. All done. How was that?
That was so fun.
You like it? Good.
Much better.
Yeah, I am definitely better than you was last time. Oh my God, you're gripping too hard, babe. Yeah, the bank is really fun when you're like flooring it in third and you're going fast. That was neutral, damn it. Yeah, it was good until that end. That's the one I always am struggling with, that first corner.
I didn't realize you were taking that turn out too. That was a sick one.
Yeah, we made some clouds there too. These tires smoke way more than the other tires for some reason.
Huh.
It's very interesting. Yeah, I won't do any of the scary fast corners.
Thank you.
I don't like them either, to be honest. How's that?
It was fine. All done. Was that fun or miserable? Okay, good. That was crazy.
Yeah. It does not want him to go into... Oh, it's second gear I keep putting it into. Oh, that's not good. Oh God.
Bro, just funny shifted.
Yeah, I did. I already did it once. Ah. Nope, not enough power. Oh God. Woo! That was sketchy.
Oh man!
That was the sketchiest I've ever. I was like, oh, I was banana handing it. That was definitely a butt pucker moment. I wasn't like too scared, but I definitely was like, oh. It's just because I got, I straightened out on the bank for a second, and then that messed me all up. Yeah. And of course, the one time I didn't have the camera pointing forward, but that's all right. Didn't crash the truck. I definitely, for a moment, was like, well, there goes the drift truck.
And we are back from the drift event successfully. 0 major issues. A few minor issues. We've got things like an oil leak to fix. The coolant overflow is just a Coke bottle, and that gets a little bit too full, so I need a bigger, real coolant overflow. The fuel fill doesn't really work. It's not sloped enough, and the fuel cell vent was too low, and it was pouring out fuel. I had to zip tie it to the roll cage to prevent that. But that's it. So I think I'm gonna relocate the fuel fill and the vent to like the cool little plate right here, where you don't really notice it at first. Like I'll color match it to the body and shit, but it's kind of race truck. And then it'll be easy to protect the hoses against the back of the bed. There is some binding in the front suspension at full lock. That's just because of the location of the steering rack. I have to move the steering rack forward if I want to fix that, but I don't want to do that. You know, at first it was a rough drift event. Like I wasn't doing very well, but I just kind of forgotten how to drift. That was the first time I had drifted in like a year and a half, something like that. And by the end, I had kind of figured it out. The truck definitely has its quirks and features when you're drifting it, but if you know them, it's all good. And it was all good. I was very happy with the way the truck performed. It seems to have a little bit more grip now, chills that angle a lot. It's got the power for that high speed bank. That was crazy. The close call at the end was a little scary, but I had such a good time. Huge thank you to Tire Streets for making the drift truck drift on their awesome tires. Huge thank you to Top Dog Tire in Athens for letting me use the alignment rack yet again. Huge thanks to Vibrant and Radium for the fuel tank stuff and the differential stuff. And huge thanks to all of you guys for making this build possible. Definitely would not be where it is without you guys. So I appreciate that. Next up is to fix those little issues we were talking about and then finish the exterior. We're gonna do a custom front wide body, custom rear wide body. We gotta do the bed floor, the tailgate, and then we gotta paint the dang thing. So that'll be 3 or 4 videos worth of work. It's gonna be a lot. We're gonna try to make it look as good as possible, but you know, this drift truck is never gonna be show car because it's a drift truck, and eventually I probably will crash it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. I certainly did. If you do want to support the channel, please check out Patreon, check out the merchandise. Forgotten Honda's tee, Gingium Racing Co. tee, Gingium Element tee, all awesome stuff made by yours truly. But that's it. Have a good one, and see you later.